Did you know that only 7 countries have ever won the FIFA World Cup in its entire 96-year history? 7, out of nearly 200 nations on Earth. That's it. And this number hasn't changed in over 20 years. Which means if you're rooting for most teams, statistically speaking, you're probably wasting your emotional energy. But here's the thing, not all of those teams have an equal shot right now. Some are completely done. Some are rising. And some have no business being mentioned in the conversation. So today, we're breaking down exactly which teams can actually win the World Cup, what separates them from everyone else, and why most people's predictions are completely wrong. Let me be clear about something first. This isn't just talking about which teams are good. Everyone knows France is good. Everyone knows Brazil is good. What we're actually doing here is understanding the framework, the actual blueprint, that determines World Cup winners. Because once you understand this framework, you'll realize some teams everyone thinks can win have almost no shot. And some dark horses that nobody talks about are quietly dangerous. So let's start with the uncomfortable truth. The World Cup is not a perfect tournament. It's not a true test of the best team in the world. And that's actually what makes it interesting. Think about it this way. The NBA Finals are 7 games. If one team is better, they almost always win. But the World Cup? You play 3 group stage games. Maybe 2 knockout games if you're unlucky. That's 5 games. 5 games to determine the best team in the world. It's ridiculous. It's also why upsets happen. It's why countries with populations smaller than New York City sometimes make it to the finals. This is why the framework matters so much. If you don't understand the actual structure of success at the World Cup, you'll keep picking the wrong teams. Let me introduce you to the 3 pillars that actually determine World Cup winners. This is what separates the countries that win from the countries that go home crying. Pillar number 1 is recent form and momentum. This sounds obvious, but people constantly ignore it. A team might have been incredible 2 years ago, but if they played 40 games since then and gone 15-20, they're not winning the World Cup. It doesn't matter what they did before. World Cup success depends on what they're doing right now. The last 12 to 18 months matter infinitely more than their history. Pillar number 2 is squad depth and stability. This is where most predictions fall apart. You need players who play together constantly. These guys need to understand each other without thinking. They need to know where each other will be without looking. The teams that win are the ones whose players all play in competitive leagues, train together regularly, and have actual chemistry, not just talent. Chemistry. There's a massive difference. Brazil has incredible individual talent, but sometimes their defenders don't play together. Sometimes they have guys learning positions right before the tournament. That's a problem at the World Cup. Meanwhile, you look at France or Germany, and their core players have been together for years. They know how to defend together. They know how to attack together. That matters. Pillar number 3, and this is the one people constantly miss, is manager continuity and experience. The coach matters way more than people think. I'm not saying a great coach can make a bad team win. That's not what I'm saying. But a world-class coach can take a good squad and turn them into a World Cup winning team. A bad coach can take a world-class squad and make them collapse in the group stage. See Germany, 2018 and 2022. They had incredible players. Their coach wasn't equipped for that level of pressure. Now, with those 3 pillars in mind, let's actually look at which team can win. The traditional powerhouses. And when I say traditional, I mean the teams that have actually won before are Brazil, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, England, and Argentina. One of these 7 countries has won every World Cup except for one, and that was Uruguay in 1950. So, historically, if you're not one of these 7, you're basically playing for 3rd place. But here's what's fascinating. Right now, not all of these 7 are equal, not even close. Let's start with France. France has won it twice, most recently in 2018, and they have a legitimate argument for being the most talented squad on the planet right now. Their depth is insane. They can field a completely different team from their starters, and that backup team could probably win a World Cup by itself. Their manager, Didier Deschamps, has already won it once and reached multiple finals. He knows exactly what to do. Their recent form has been strong. This is a team that checks all three boxes. But, and this is important, France also has something called the curse of defending champions. In the last 4 World Cups, the defending champion has never made it past the quarterfinals. France made it to the final in 2022, which is insane. But historically, once you win, everyone wants to beat you. Teams prepare specifically to stop you. You get the target on your back. It's not impossible for them to win again, but it's harder than people think. Brazil is the other favorite, and maybe the most confusing team to predict right now. They're incredibly talented. But here's the thing, they haven't won since 2002, and they've had several periods where everyone thought they were the favorites, and they didn't deliver. Why? Because they sometimes build their squads wrong. They load up on attacking talent, and then lose in the knockout stages. Their most recent attempts, they've looked brilliant in group stages, and then just collapsed. Vinicius Jr. and Neymar are absolutely world-class, but one great winger doesn't win tournaments. Germany is rebuilding. They had a rough period after 2018, but they look like they're getting back on track. They have young talent. They have a new manager. But are they favorites right now? Probably not. They're a dangerous dark horse. Argentina already won the last World Cup, which means they're subject to that defending champion curse we just talked about. Yes, Messi was incredible. Yes, they played great football. But now everyone's looking to knock them off. Can they repeat? It's possible. They have decent momentum. But the stats say it's unlikely. Spain was absolutely dominant for years. Won it in 2010, but they've been in a transition phase. Their recent form hasn't been spectacular. England has incredible individual talent. Maybe the most talented squad from a pure player perspective. But they haven't won since 1966. 58 years. That's a long time to wait. They have the players. But something keeps going wrong. Italy didn't even qualify for the last 2 World Cups. Think about that. Italy, one of the 7 traditional winners, didn't even make it. So they're out of the conversation until they prove they're back. Now let's talk about the dark horses. The teams that could realistically win, but nobody's talking about. Netherlands. They have legitimate talent. They have recent success. They have a manager who knows what he's doing. They could absolutely run deep. Uruguay. Smaller country, but they have a winning culture around their national team. They consistently punch above their weight. Belgium has been good for a while. They're aging now, but they still have firepower. Portugal always seems to find a way to do something interesting at the World Cup, even though people forget about them. But here's the real insight that separates amateur predictions from actual analysis. The team that wins the World Cup is almost always a team where, 1, the best version of their squad is aligned with the tournament timing. You can't peak too early. You can't peak too late. You have to peak exactly when the tournament happens. 2, they avoid injuries to key players. This is luck, yes, but it's a massive factor. If France loses their top 3 midfielders to injury a month before the tournament, they're not winning. It doesn't matter how good they are. 3, they get fortunate group placement and knockout draw. This matters more than people admit. A team can be incredible and still exit early because they face a monster in the round of 16. 4, they have a defined identity. They know exactly how they play. They're not trying to be fancy or reinvent themselves. They play their system. They execute it perfectly, and they win games 1-0 if they have to. The best World Cup teams aren't the most entertaining. They're the most pragmatic. This last point is crucial. Remember that. The best World Cup teams are boring. They're not pretty. They're efficient. They suffocate opponents. They win on details. That's what actually wins tournaments. So if I had to actually rank who can win, here's my realistic assessment. France is tier 1. They have everything. They have talent, experience, depth, and a manager who knows how to win. The only thing holding them back is that defending champion curse, and even that's not guaranteed. Brazil is tier 1. But with an asterisk. They'll win if their squad comes together correctly. If they do, they'll win in dominant fashion. If something goes wrong, they'll be out in the quarterfinals. Argentina is tier 2 now because they're the defending champions. Yes, they're still talented, but the target is on their back, and historically that matters. Germany, Netherlands, England, and Spain are Tier 2. All capable. All have the pieces. But none of them look like they're the clear favorite. Portugal, Belgium, Uruguay, and a few others are Tier 3. Could they make a run? Sure. Would I be shocked if Uruguay or Portugal made a semifinal? No. Would I pick them to win? No. And everyone else? They're playing for a story, not for the trophy. Here's what I find most interesting about this whole situation. The same 7 countries have won for almost 100 years. That's not a coincidence. It's not luck. It's because they have infrastructure. They have academies. They have money. They have established playing styles. They have managerial continuity. These aren't advantages you build overnight. This is generational stuff, which means if you want to pick a winner, you're basically picking from 7 countries. That's your universe. And even within those 7, you need to understand who has the momentum, who has the depth, who has the right coach, and who hasn't peaked too early. This is why so many predictions miss. People pick favorites based on how exciting they are to watch, or based on how good a player is, or based on what happened 4 years ago. That's not how World Cups work. World Cups are won by the team that's the most prepared, the most unified, the most experienced, and the most pragmatic at exactly the right moment in time. So when you're making your prediction, don't think about who has the best player. Think about who has the best team. Don't think about who played pretty in a qualifier. Think about who can grind out 1-0 wins when they need to. Don't think about history. Think about now, because that's the framework. That's what actually separates winners from everyone else. And honestly, when you understand this framework, the World Cup becomes infinitely more interesting because you're not just watching good teams play. You're watching the most specific, carefully constructed formula for success play out in real time. You're watching exactly why one team makes it and another goes home. That's what makes the World Cup the greatest tournament in sports. It's not the best team that always wins. It's the team that's ready. And right now, only a few of them actually are.